Hey everyone, it's Joe from Multisport Mindset. Today I'm going to share with you level 8 in my Programming Deadlifts for Speed video series, which covers absolute speed and starting strength. In this video, I'll share with you 3 tiers of exercises that progress to you peaking in sprint speed. Also, be sure to check out my absolute speed challenge that accompanies this video, where I'll have 45 seconds to granny toss 20, 40, 60, and 100 pound sandbags over the monkey bars, where if I fail, I will get snapped by a giant speed bungee cord. Level 8 of our Programming Deadlifts for Speed is called Starting Strength. I also like to call it Training for Absolute Speed. Starting Strength focuses on maximum speed and quickness in each movement and utilizes 0 to 30% of our 1 rep max. There are 3 tiers that I recommend for starting strength exercises related to the deadlift. Each tier, starting with tier 3 and working our way down to peaking for speed with tier 1, decreases the resistance and load you move so you can be more powerful, forceful, and faster while reducing the stress placed upon your body so you can recover and feel fresh and explosive each session. Tier 1 exercises are the heavy sandbag, granny, and wood chopper toss, the band resisted broad and penta jump, and the band assisted broad and penta jump. Tier 2 exercises are the heavy med ball, granny, and wood chopper toss, the heavy sled and tire push and pull, and the body weight broad jump and penta jump. Tier 3 exercises are the light medicine ball, granny, and wood chopper toss, the stair and hill, broad and penta jumps, regular body weight sprints, and then going to the pool because it lowers the impact on your body and you are weightless in the water, performing your broad jump, your penta jumps, whether on 2 legs or 1 leg, and then your sprints. Heavy sandbags, heavy medicine balls, and working your way over time to light medicine balls, doing the granny toss, where you jump, bring it down, and then chuck it as far back as you can, are fantastic for increasing your speed strength and being explosive in the posterior chain. I like the sandbags because you can toss them and it's not going to wreck your weights. If I was to do this with a barbell and weights or a dumbbell, it would get wrecked over time. I would take more of a break, but just for the demo, I'm gonna keep going. Just so we're on the same page, this sandbag has 40 pounds, this heavy medicine ball is 20 pounds, and then the lightest medicine ball is 2.2 pounds or 1 kilogram. Over time, I go from the heaviest, working my way down to absolute speed in the lightest medicine ball. There's another way that you can do the tosses if you want to work in a little bit more of a rotation, because so many sports involve rotation. Pretty much every sport involves rotation, and that would be the wood chopper. You would do both sides. I'm gonna do this side just so the other camera can pick it up and you can see me rotating. But we start low. I would probably start in the middle, curl down into my leg, and then chuck it over my shoulder as far as I can. For the band resisted jumps, you can use bungee cords and attach them to the fence, or you can use resistance bands at your gym. I like the bungee cords because they allow me to do the penta jump, which is 5 repeated broad jumps. But just like with the weighted sled sprints and pull, or the pushes and the pulls, and the weighted tire sprints and pulls, the banded broad jump and banded penta jump force you to jump efficiently and produce as much force and power in the direction that you want to go. The first one I'm going to do is the banded broad jump, then I will do the banded penta jump. When we do both of these jumps, on the final landing, you need to land as softly and quietly as possible so we can practice absorbing that force. So you want to walk out until you get tension, not until maximum tension, maybe a 5 out of 10. But you want to be as explosive as you can forwards. And hold that landing. Now we're on to the penta broad jump, resisted. Make sure that you start with the bands very loose because you are going to be performing 5 broad jumps in a row and the band is going to increase in resistance as you jump. Try to make sure that you're having as little ground contact time as possible and land soft and stable on that final landing. Okay, now we're on to band assisted or overspeed broad jumps. These broad jumps force you to land softly and absorb that force. They are a great exercise. At the same time, you have to be careful because if you're not used to landing and absorbing the force properly, you can get injured. It's not that it's going to make you jump farther, it's just going to pull you forward, and your job is to control it and be as stable as you can. Be safe when you're performing your band-assisted pentajump. Remember that your job is to control your body, have as little ground contact time as possible, and land as solid as you can on your final jump. You want to relax and let the band pull you and give you added momentum. When performing heavy sled pushes and pulls, it's just as important to train moving backwards as it is to go forwards. Sprinting forwards under the load forces you to be efficient and use your body correctly. Going backwards under the load forces you to learn how to decelerate and absorb force so you can change direction. Remember in the level 1 of the deadlift where I was saying train 5 seconds up and 5 seconds down to master the weight? Most people get injured because they cannot decelerate and absorb the force, but they're producing a high amount of force. So by training backwards, we reduce your risk of injury. If you don't have access to the heavy weight sled for the pushes and the pulls, a more feasible option is to get a tire, a rope, and a belt. The awesome thing about the tire is that it can also be a second progression from the heavy weight sled down to the tire because the tire itself weighs less than the heavy weight sled. I also got these sandbags at a camera store. I fill them with 10 pounds each and they can go inside of the tire, but you could also do something like filling up water bottles and jugs and put it in there so you can progressively go from heavy to light so you sprint faster. Normally I do these on grass, but I chose to do it on pavement today because it's been raining and I want to be able to get a grip for the demo. Just like with the resisted broad jumps and the resisted pentajump, on my final landing, I want to land as softly and stable as possible, where if someone was to shove me, I would be sturdy, because we want to learn to absorb force so we can actually produce more force and limit our ground contact time. Okay, now we're on to the pentajump with just body weight. I placed a cone down at my max pentajump with the resistance bands. I should be able to beat it with just my body weight by quite a lot. The resistance bands force me to jump efficiently and powerfully forward, so when I go back to just my regular body weight, I'm able to cover more distance. Probably a good 10-12 feet right there, showing the value of using those resistance bands for the pentajump and the broad jump. Stadium steps are a fantastic way to work on your speed strength because whether you're sprinting up the steps, broad jumping up the steps, pentajumping up the steps, or single leg broad jumping up the steps, as you jump forward, the height is increased, so the depth that you are dropping decreases, which means minimal impact on your joints compared to regular broad jumps or depth broad jumps. So this allows you to perform quality work and recover faster as you get closer to maximizing your speed. Just like with our depth jumps, when we progress from low to high over time, so we get comfortable absorbing and producing force, when you're using the stadium steps, start with 1 step, then progress to 2, then 3, then 4. So you're increasing the distance that you're jumping, but also making sure that you're comfortable enough and you're not tripping and hurting yourself on the steps. As always, when we perform our broad jumps, whether the standing broad jump that's a single or the pentajump, we want to make sure that we're landing and absorbing force as quietly as we can. If you don't have access to stadium stairs, a hill with an incline can work just as good. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this absolute speed and starting strength video helpful, please give it a like. And if you enjoyed the Programming Deadlifts for Speed video series and found value in it, subscribe to Multisport Mindset for more ways to increase your athleticism and boost your in-game performance. Also, if you've got a topic for me to cover, a challenge for me to perform, or a consequence that I'll have to do if I fail, put it in the comments below.